everyone. Welcome back to the Command Your Brand Show. I'm your host, Josh Silvestro, brand ambassador of Command Your Brand, where we help CEOs and founders get on top-rated podcasts. Grab our new book, the best podcast book ever written. I think you guys would love it. It's on bestpodcastbook.com. And if you guys like this stuff, please like and subscribe to this channel. It really helps the channel out. And of course, enjoy the show. So in this episode, I have a very special guest speaker I'm kind of interested in talking to because I'm a really big fan, proprietor of, wellness, health, healing, any of that nature. And I think this lady has a very interesting viewpoint on how things are run in terms of a business and how can you be successful in that. She's just done a lot of coaching in this area. She has 25 years of experience. She's definitely grown it to where it's become 8 figures. And I think she's a really badass lady. So I'd like to introduce you guys to Cate. Cate, thanks for joining the show.
Yeah, you bet, Josh. Nice to meet you. And I went to Command. I went into Best. What was it? I'm already in your website. I just logged in. You're going to get the Best Podcast book. I've been podcasting since 2010, so it's fun. And
Awesome.
I just want to correct you. I've grown my wealth from my business to 8 figures, but I do not have an 8-figure business. Yeah.
Good to know.
Distinguish. Yeah. Yeah.
Good to know. Okay, good. Thanks for the correction. I like that. Okay, good.
Sure.
So I guess for people who don't know who you are and kind of want to get to know you a little bit better, for people who are listening, I guess tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, and then also why you started what you started.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's a bigger story. So I came from more of the world in terms of like my dedication to studies, and my first passion was really around international environmental protection. Like, how do we have the planet last? Right? How do we evolve? So that brought me into Chinese political economy, like trying to actually look at like big international treaties and all that. And I landed after working in Washington, D.C. and international environmental organizations, I sort of landed with like, you got to raise human consciousness. Like, I'm not a policy person as much as how do we think more big scale and raise consciousness? And that's really what brought me into yoga and Ayurvedic medicine. Is it's very connecting people to ecosystems, right? Which I felt like was a big missing piece, especially in the policy work side. So fast forward, I go on my own healing journey from being raised on standard American diet and lifestyle. I have the typical chronic inflammatory problems that everybody has in this country who's on the standard American diet and lifestyle. And just went through the journey of healing myself and found that, my biggest influence would basically be as a thought leader in writing books and coaching clubs for people to actually in real life, like hit life-changing results.
Interesting. And so what was the turning point for you that you like, I got to do something about this, or like, this is where the point where it's like, okay, I got to do it because no one else is going to do it better than me. Like, where did that start for you?
I mean, in high school, really. I started a group called Students Concerned About Tomorrow. And so I think from an early age, I was able to see how one person can become passionate and engaged and find the people that are making the decisions and change what they're thinking about. So that helped. My dad was also he was an engineer. He was in computer, basically like the mainframes until they became like the mini computers until before the personal computer revolution. So I was around someone who was, constantly in the tech innovation world. He's in his 80s now. So it's like he was super early days. I didn't know what an engineer was. When someone's like, what's your dad do? I'm like, he's an engineer. And I literally would think of the guy on the train. I was like, no idea what he does. He goes to an office, but that helped. So I think those two experiences definitely shaped my idea of what you can do with your life. And then I think it was just really good timing. I was a digital nomad in 1996. I mean, just before we had words for it, just being able to work from anywhere. And then, all these things kind of fed together into, if you're a wellness professional, if you're actually on the wellness side, there's about a 98% chance you're self-employed. So the nature of that industry is not that there's jobs. There's jobs in healthcare, which is really sick care, right? Where you can get pills and surgeries. But on the wellness side, it's mostly people are filing 1099s or W-2s for themselves and their own business.
Yeah. And I guess for you, because you've obviously been it for, a number of years, I'll say a number of years by a lot of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no numbers in that. What was your successful actions that you did, or what are the successful things you did in terms of growing your business and like really maintaining it wellness? Because I know for a lot of people, especially nowadays, it's a very growing, expanding kind of community, and it's a lot of people that have similar or the same, or how do you kind of keep up with what's kind of going on?
In terms of like what's trending in terms of health and wellness, is that?
Well, in terms of business, like, there's a lot of people who are in business that are they're trying to be successful.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's crazy times right now.
It is.
Reminds me a little bit of '08, and it reminds me a little bit of '01, like I was in San Francisco during the dot-com bust, which is
Yeah.
hilarious. It's like everyone left and there was shit all over the streets because people had bought all this stuff in the boom, and so consumerism went through the roof, and then they basically had to like pack their bag and move back home, and so everything was just there's just like couches and clothes, new backpacks, like, and it just reminds me right now of a bit then of like you're in a changing world. So if you're not adaptable and flexible, like you probably will fail. I was actually telling my daughter this morning, it's like, it really is the people who fail the most that win, and just being willing to have no fucking ego right now, if I can swear. But like, if you have an ego, like I had an ego because I built this business, was making a ton of money, and then things changed. I changed. I decided to write books instead of running my company. Like certain things, like you can make decisions that are really good for your long-term health that really suck in the short term. And if you can pay the consequence of that, like it can pan out. But the people that are looking for like, I'm going to make whatever, I'm going to make $100,000 overnight, or and they don't know what they're doing. Like you're going to fail so hard, so fast. If you can learn from that. So I really love the fail as first attempts at learning. Like to me, every day right now, it's a changing marketplace. So what I've found, because I developed my whole company on offshore contractors. Like since I think the first one was '05, right? So this was like early days, and the market has changed so dramatically. And I keep finding the market is changing. The talent market is so dynamic. So you've got a super dynamic SaaS tool market that's AI integrated. And then you have a super diverse and rapidly adapting talent market globally. And when you combine those two things, it's an amazing opportunity right now.
Right.
Right. But like to learn the lessons, to learn to thrive in that, it's going to be hard, like hard and fast. So the faster I'm like design thinking, think big, test small, fail fast, learn always. The more iterations you can do without an ego, without thinking you're going to win, the more you actually will win.
Right. I know a lot of people too, they kind of go guns blazing when they first start. Like I know a lot of people just like, yeah, I'm going to do this. This is like going to be my successful thing. I'm not going to fail. And then sometimes most of the time they fail. And I think that's where some people can't really face the fact that there are going to be failures in any activity or thing that you do because you're trying for the first time, right?
Yeah, I mean, and then you take the Gen X is getting older and the millennials are, hitting their, like, if they don't have babies now, it's going to like be over. And then you got like Gen Y, and the millennials and Gen Y are not used to failing as much as you could say the silent generation or the boomer generation. And I would even say like Gen X, we were a little more off the leash than on the leash growing up. And so because of that, the real world is hard. Like business is hard. It is in the marketplace. In the Indian system of medicine, which I find really helpful with the caste system historically, they took the priestly caste and they separated that from the warrior caste and they separated that from the merchant caste. And it's like, if you're a merchant, if you're in business, you're a merchant. Like you are in the dirty marketplace. Like, and it's changing. The rules change. Google changed their email rules, in May. And anyone who's built an email list, like that game just changed radically.
Yeah.
Right. The game they said would not change just changed. And that's just going to keep happening everywhere, I think.
Mm. And so I guess for you, what in terms of now, because we obviously are in 2025, like what are some successful things that you do that keeps the game or keep the ball rolling in your business?
Yeah. I mean, to me, like high profit margin business model is essential. So I'm very clear, like when I'm talking with you, I know how this fits into my long game and my high ticket sales. right? So for me, I'm in a high ticket sales game. Coaching is mostly marketing, right? So if you have a coaching company on the backside, it looks like a marketing company, right?
Yeah.
Because the deliverable is so easy, especially with, with content that is asynchronistic, and then live coaching, which is synchronistic. It's a very easy to run operational business. So all of the operations that are challenging fall under digital marketing. And that's the game, right? Like that's a bit of so if we don't know our numbers, if we don't have the right people we're working with, if we don't have a strong profit margin, like from the get, and that all has to come with, like, if you have a strong profit margin, usually that means you have a strong sales process, which means you know how to sell, which means you know how to get the leads in order to sell. So to me, like all those parts lining up they're just essential. It's like, and then when that's working, it really works. And then the people coming in to the coaching, they're coming in for very specific reasons. So we've Club Thrive on the B2C side, where we help people thrive in their body and in their life strategy to achieve bigger goals, right? And that's like, we do that really well. Hard stop. It's an amazing community. On the pro side, on the B2B side, it's like we help people add this club model to their business and the annual recurring revenue model. And we crush it at that, because people get to then, the business owners get to add this sustainable membership model that grows community. And if we look at the trajectory as AI takes over more and more things that humans don't feel like doing, or that AI is just plain better at doing, then we value human relationship more. And we want to be part of a community that's growing exactly in the direction that we want to grow. And we're going to become increasingly discerning, is the word, about who we're spending time with doing what.
Right. You mentioned before, because you also have written, I believe you mentioned you've written a lot of books.
Yeah.
I would love to hear some of those books that you've read, or wrote. That's what I meant.
Yeah. So the first book I wrote was Body Thrive, and it was based on circadian rhythm habits, which was cutting edge back in 2015. So I took the ancient teachings of yoga and Ayurveda, which have this concept of, it's called dinacharya. It's like a codified how to do a day so that tomorrow's better. Right. And I was like, oh my gosh, no one's written this book. It was so annoyed me, because I just wanted to tell my clients, like, just go read that. But no one had written it at that time. I mean, there was like an Indian version that was rough and full of Sanskrit, not approachable. So I was like, okay, I'll write the dumb book that like no one. And that first book I wrote, it just felt like that. It just felt like common sense, writing it down, but it really worked. And then that helped me in coaching realize that, like, I created a manual, not just for my members, but for other coaches to use with their members. And that just kind of brought me into the, like, okay, write books instead of just marketing copy. Now, that can help, but it can also be the absolute death of a business. So just like FYI on that one. But it did help me realize that, like, there was a thinking process that you mature as a human being when you write a good book. So that maturation process, I would say there's nothing else that really does that. Not course creation, not like on any other side of the deliverables, nothing compares to the deep work that, like, Cal Newport talks about, deep work, or the deep thinking process that actually, it matures your brain. Right? So nothing really compares to that, to a book. There's a reason that a book is a very specific structure. So I got more like hooked on that. And then I wrote Master of You, which was more of like a Dharma book, like a personal life purpose book. And then how do you organize that into multidimensional life goals? So in holistic medicines, it doesn't matter which one, we have a 5-element, more or less a 5-element or directional way of seeing the world. So you have earth, air, fire, water, earth, air,
fire, water.
Space is the subtle one that everything's arising in.
Yeah.
And so I looked at that in terms of, like, earth is your body, air is your time, fire is your goals, your purpose, your direction, water is your flow and your currency. And so when you look at these different aspects of your life, right? Like, where are you weak? Are you weak in relationship? Are you weak in commerce? Are you weak in investment? Are you weak in body? And Master of You was that system that very much pulled from how small businesses succeed with quarterly and annual planning and long-term visioning, and merge those two things together. So it's like design thinking into Ayurveda.
Right.
And a few other books were, more on just the whole, like, business side for the wellness pros of, like, this is what it actually looks like behind the curtain and for someone that's successful versus what you're seeing up front in terms of the business models. And then lastly, like, Uninflamed, Primal Habits, and which is Cancer, where it's really writing from my, like, leading edge experience where I'm a meta thinker. So like the big global health issues facing modern humans and modern lifestyle, like what are the primal habits? What are the most ancient habits that actually drove our evolution? And how do we merge those habits with modern humans?
Right. And so for you, like I know you've obviously, as you were growing and as you're expanding a lot of your business, you've
Yeah.
obviously had challenges throughout that journey for you. What were some of the challenges that you ran into and you think that people, I think some of the people who are listening are going through some challenges of like, okay, how do I do that? What's the next step? What should I do? Like, what are some challenges you ran into and what you did for those?
Yeah, I mean, the business, and if we look at small business, like imagine a lot of people listening to your podcast are like micro business and then some are small business, right? So it's like micro might be a person with a few virtual assistants, a small business might be a team of like 4 to 10, right? And then some people say like in the United States, small business goes up to like 50 people. But if you're thinking more like a micro business owner, like to manage 50 people would seem absolutely insane. So I feel like even in the realm of business, like knowing where is your sweet spot, like where's your happy place. So for example, I don't think I will ever have a team of more than 10 people.
Yeah.
Right? Because like if it goes bigger than that, now the level of infrastructure, it does not play to my strengths at all. And then it starts to affect my lifestyle. And so for me, it was like high profit margin enabled and wellness lifestyle. It enabled me to make a lot of money and then invest it in really great real estate. Right. And then to use that real estate also as an asset for the business. And so for me, it's like surfing and biking, and I have a lake house and a ski house and a surf house. And so I don't want to have all the responsibility of like a more than 10-person team. Like the headache and the cost of that, the overhead of that, not interested. So I think for people to first of all know who you are, because many of you just want to work alone and maybe have some contractors do some part-time gig work. Some of you are like a person with a full-time person, right? And some of you are like a small team person. But if you're struggling in one, like really take a step back and say, especially with AI right now, like what is the ideal company for me to run?
Right. Absolutely. I think too is also, with AI, with now AI kind of growing, expanding different areas like in Google and like other places, it's sort of a little challenging to figure out where to actually go and how to actually run it. Cause like I have all these AIs that can do it for me. And it's like, okay, so now how can I run a business like that? So have you used AI in your business and has it been successful for you?
Yeah. So that's such a good question, right? And it's like, what's the difference between like AI and an AI integrated SaaS tool now? Like where
Yeah.
everything's getting super, super blurry.
Yeah.
So I would say, first of all, for the business owner, because I know the people that are listening, right? They're either the business owner or the person running the brand for the business, is the first and foremost place is as a thinking partner. Right. So whenever it's like I use I don't know, I use Perplexity, I use Claude, I use Gemini. I'd say the one I use the least is ChatGPT. And I know that everyone that's using a lot of these tools is just going to develop their own favorites and their own process and way of using them. And then as they start to overlap more, right, then you'll drop the ones that you use less of. And we'll probably all end up just like you don't need Slack and Google Workspace. Like you don't need two places to chat with your people. Like you eventually things will settle down and there'll be like one thing that does more things for you. Anyone that has a lot of content, and I'm guessing just because you command your brand, like people with a brand, you have content around your brand. You want, in my opinion, like you want to have your content in the AI tool, whether that's in a Perplexity space or a Claude project, so that you can, for example, if you're writing a marketing if I have a book and I'm writing a marketing campaign, I want to feed it the SEO for the marketing campaign and have it pull from my book and write in my style that's already in the book language. I want to maximize my assets, right? So to me, it's like thinking partner and then ways of like maximizing your assets so that things can come out in your brand voice. And then you can edit so that whatever 50, 80, 90% of the work is done. And then, yeah, as far as like how all the tools now are the SaaS tools, like whether it's Canva or whether it's Riverside, like how they're using AIs, like, or Vimeo, it's like so super helpful.
Yeah.
In order to produce higher quality, whatever that is for your brand.
Right. Now, obviously for you, because, like you and I, we kind of didn't grow up with social media. We kind of we were like already old enough where like social media wasn't really a thing. So I
Yeah.
guess for you, like, how did you
Oh, wait,
integrate your
Josh,
social
how old are
media?
you?
I'll be 30 in July.
You'll be 30. Okay. And I'm 52. So yeah, like the way
Okay.
you grew up with it and the way I grew up with it, for me, I grew up with it in my business, but
Yeah.
not as a kid. Yeah.
Well, for me, social media was just coming out. Like this is 2008. We're talking, I'm already, 16, 17 years old already. We're now I'm running almost a young adult into adult. Like I think when I started picking up was like, 2013, 2014, something like that. So
Yeah.
I was already 20, 21. So it's kind of like, for me, it was like, all right, like it's kind of missed my whole young life. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
guess for you, what was your successful things that like, you've integrated in your business, whereas, the younger generation now, like we have people who are like 21 who have their own wellness business or their coach or whatever, and they're now using social media. Like, how did you get by? Because I know it's, it's kind of must have been a challenge for you because there was no
It's
social
kind of
media.
hilarious. Like this is just the dates are so funny. Like I started podcasting in 2010.
Oh, wow. That's funny. You're
Yeah.
one of the originals. You're one of the originals.
OG.
That's
Yeah.
right.
My friend Elsie, and we were throwing down yoga mats next to each other at advanced yoga teacher trainings. And she started working for Libsyn, which was like the major podcast host, I think back in 2007. And so when I was putting all of these audio files with these like impressive gurus on my blog, she was like, girlfriend, that belongs in a podcast. Like you need a feed. I would say it's the changing landscape. It's so, again, like a lot of people confuse social media success and even like email list size with profit margin. So where we really help businesses is like, what's your upsell? Like we'll help you dial in like the club has upsell, that's not going away. Like golf clubs, they're not going away. Clubs are not going away. It's very, very tried and true upsell model. So whether you call it a mastermind or a club or a collective, it runs on an annual recurring revenue. So for me, I've been able to have like pretty shitty numbers on social side and high profit margin. I've also had the reverse of great social numbers and low profit margin. So again, if we don't have the thing to sell and know how to sell it and know that it's delivering on what it says it does at a higher price point, which means you got to be good at it, right? You got to work through the kinks and really get to member results or people results with whether you're selling a product or a service. Then, and I had so many friends who like, they blew up on social, but they didn't have a profit margin. You know what I mean? So then we're able to find the fancy real estate that then for us really actually grew our wealth. So like the companies that my husband and I started, those are great for making money. The money we invested well exponentially grew our wealth. So I don't think enough people they're like, what is happening behind the curtain? What is happening behind the scenes? And instead you see the stuff of like, this person has a post, it has 100 comments. It's like, that's amazing. If there's no upsell, it doesn't matter.
Right. No, that is totally true because I think it's also like it's how you formulate and how do you actually put it all together. I think some people, it's kind of like, some people just start like, oh, I'm going to start something. And like, they have like one thing and that's kind of it. And they have nothing else. And it's kind of like you mentioned before, there's no upsell to what they're actually selling for. So it's kind of interesting that you mentioned that.
Yeah. Cause you can spend all your time like trying to make your business work, and it's confusing if you're not paying for coaching in a specific business model. I'd say you're fucked, like just right from the beginning, because it's only, I think the amount of content that will be I would like to see some numbers on the amount of content that will be AI produced in the next 36 months, because it will by far it will flood the market. It'll flood the human produced market, right? And it's going to be better. A lot of it will be better than what we're producing just as individual creators without AI. So once we have an understanding of that, it's like we've got to really know how a business works. Like in order to have the lifestyle you want, have, the home you want, and some people who don't want to have a home, like I totally get it. I'm fairly nomadic, even though I have a lot of homes. I'm sort of nomadic between my home. Right. But it's like whatever that end goal is for you, like whatever that experience of, well, I love this teaching from the Vedas. And it's like there's 4 aims of life. And the first one really is security. Like, and it has the sense of like your stuff, right? And that stuff could be like just like a Bitcoin. Like it doesn't have to be stuff, but it represents access to stuff. And then the other is pleasure. Like you've got to have a good time here. Like that is part of the point, right? And then the other is dharma. Like there needs to be a purpose. Like you're here for a reason. Don't take that lightly. And it's not all hedonistic bullshit, right? And then the fourth one is like be awake, right? And those are the 4 aims. So it's like that stuff part. That's where it's like if your business is not structured to give you the stuff part, the finance part, the income, the revenue to have the life you want, you need to find a guru or a coach that has proven that business model. And there's shit in every business model. I love how Layla Hermosi and Alex Hermosi, many of you follow them, how they say that. It's like, it doesn't matter which business you choose. Like they all will have a huge chunk of work that you do not want to do. But guess what? Like that's part of that business.
Right. That's so true. And I find it's also interesting too, is that, people sometimes they think they start a business so they don't have to work. Especially like a little younger than me. It's like, I want to start a business to rocket this and make it like so much money that I don't have to work. Like it's so fun. It's just very fascinating to me.
Josh, I think you missed the whole thing of like passive income, like that whole, like the rise and fall. I was there at Podfest with Pat Flynn, who's Smart Passive Income. And I watched that whole thing. And now it's like anyone who's paying attention knows that and even for Pat, he was working like a dog at Smart Passive Income, like a dog. He was on tour. He was producing courses. He was coaching. He was writing books. Like there was nothing passive about Smart Passive Income. So I think at this point, I mean, at least for, I don't know, a lot. I mean, I think more, maybe the marketplace is more stratified and there's more people that have already gone through that lesson that I'm interfacing with. But I'm guessing at your age, you're probably interfacing with people who haven't gone through that lesson yet, but they will.
They will. Yes, they definitely will. Awesome. And so I guess I'd love to also hear from you because I know you've helped a lot of people in wellness in a lot of different areas of life. I'd love to hear some success stories that you love to share, like that you've helped someone or that someone, you came across and you just, it was like a really good story to like that you help with your business.
I was on, I don't usually spend time on social media, but I was on Facebook last night.
Okay.
And it was fun. It was like, I don't know why, but I just got, and sometimes the feed is amazing and you're seeing like all these people from the past and updates and it was just amazing. And so one of my past clients in there from Wellness Pro Academy, and she had come in, she was a faith-based healer and she was working in ministry and she was trying to exit ministry and into entrepreneurship that would combine her work as a health coach and a wellness pro with her ministry work. And so in Wellness Pro Academy, we helped her like the offer, the packaging, the leads, the sales, like the whole thing. We do the whole business model with our members. And she posted, it was so cool. She posted her job exit.
Wow.
It's like, I'm now able to go full time into my, again, dharma, like my real purpose-driven passion, which means that she's able to financially grow beyond what she was making with the job. And so to me, it's like stuff like that. Because what I hear from our pros who are running their clubs, right, who like adopt this high-end, and it's hard because you're going to have to learn sales and you're going to have to learn leads for high ticket sales, which is different than leads for low ticket sales. And there's like a lot of things that there's a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Over. But once you're over it, this is what we hear every single time is I'm doing the best work of my life.
Yeah.
And that's why I show up, because I could be retired, right? But like the reason I show up is because if you can do the best work of your life, and if I can help you do that and show you the profit model behind that, you're going to do that longer. And then you're going to be an asset to humanity. You're going to be an asset to the planet. And to me, that's what it's about. I'm not a hedonist, like it's about that.
Do you think belief has anything to do with it? Like being like believing in something or like religion or anything like that goes into that or no?
I think nihilism is a really fast path to depression. So
really?
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you don't have, there's a very basic teaching in holistic medicine and it doesn't really matter which tradition you choose. What I love about a lot of the holistic, traditional, I would say even like primal wellness systems, that it's not just your personal health, but it's like an understanding of your community is your personal health is this experience of svastha. And sva means self and stha is seated. So you need to be seated in yourself. And when you are grounded and seated in yourself, and it's hard, I mean, it's harder for, I got a teenager, like they're on their phones, like they don't have a moment of exhale. Like they wake up and they're just like, they go to bed and they're like, their phone is their companion. So that experience of svastha to some degree is much harder to experience now than it was historically. But when you're seated in yourself, there is purpose. So then what is faith? Like faith is that like what you're sensing as purpose is true. Right. That you can trust in your intuition, that you can trust in, there's these words in Sanskrit, we just don't have them in English, that you can trust in your insight. Right? So if you don't reflect on your insight and get organized in yourself and study yourself, then there's just so much external data. And with shorts and reels right now, I just feel so bad. It's like younger generation. Holy fuck. Right? Because there's like, it's really hard when everyone else is just telling you, and the shorts and the reels are super addictive and you're getting your dopamine. Meanwhile, you're a big fat lousy, like you're just not doing shit, you're craving shit and you can't get off the cycle. And then you're like, everyone else seems happy on social media. Why am I depressed? It's really hard. So that's to me the nihilism. Like there's not a self-directed path. The good news is like the best coaches are free on the internet. Like the best tools are free on the internet. You've never had an easier time and you need way less than prior humans. Energy's going towards free. I still crack up that like gas prices are still this low. I'm just like, what, in what world? Right?
Yeah.
And all you get a $20 a month YouTube premium subscription and you have everything ad free to the best coaches and the best minds in the world. So design your algorithm to help you tune in to like, who am I? What am I here to do? What are my gifts? And how can I be of benefit? Because if I'm asking that, who can I help with what? Now I have a business.
Right. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate the time you've given us to really ask these questions about like, what made you a better, successful business owner, how you did it with wellness. And I really appreciate the time. I'm sure you're a busy lady with running a lot of companies, a lot of things in life. I have a teenage daughter, so I understand. But I really appreciate the time you've given us just to really ask these questions about how to run a business and how it works and the successes you went, the failures, all that stuff. And I love that. So I really appreciate the time you've given us.
Oh, Josh, it's absolutely my pleasure. You're great at interviewing, and I'm excited about the Command Your Brand show. I'm gonna add it to my podcast feed.
Awesome. Well, everyone, I do appreciate for everyone listening to us. If you guys like this stuff, please like and subscribe to us. I think you guys would like this. And Kate, I know you also, people want to get to know you better and want to kind of connect with you. Where is the best place they can connect with you?
Well, I would just say if you want to work on the upsell, that's probably how I can help you the most. Who anyone's like, I want to increase my profit margin, I want to get the annual recurring revenue. Just go to wellnesspro.academy. And you can do this even if you're not a wellness pro, wellnesspro.academy/offer. And we'll help you design that offer for free. It's normally like a $500 thing, but if you go to that particular place, you'll be able to get in. And the reason it's more money is because it involves coaching, but we actually want to work with you one-on-one to see if like, do you actually have an upsell in you? And if you don't yet, what you will need to do in order to get there. And if you do, what are exactly like the next steps for getting this thing sold so that you can start to have much higher dollar transactions and a higher profit margin. So wellnesspro.academy/offer. And otherwise you can just follow me as Cate Stillman. It's CATESTILLLMAN. You can type me into any platform and I'll probably pop up.
Awesome. Well, Kate, it was an honor talking to you and thank you for joining the show here. And I'll see you next time.
Okay. Sounds great, Josh. Thank you.
You're welcome.